Hello and welcome back to the Age of Sunbros YouTube channel. This is Sir Shark Dad. I have another civilization spotlight for everybody watching. This time doing China, as you can see here on the home city screen. Pretty excited for this one, and I could think of no better guest to do a overview for all of you than Harrison, who has just been I think a massive content creator, great player, great member of the community for, I don't know, Harrison, how long have you been playing this game, actually, now that I think about it?
Yeah, good afternoon all, or good evening, good morning, wherever you are, whenever you are watching this. I'm glad you said couldn't think of a better person instead of a better player, because the playing skills... I've just taken down my second 2K Elo Plus player, only just. I beat Jaffe in a Dutch India game, just about, but that's about it. Since been playing, probably second year of ESOC existence. I think
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. Let's call it 2016.
Wow. Okay. Jeez. So you've been around for a while, and I would say, well, I mean, you play a lot of different civs. I remember back in the day you did like a Dutch sort of breakdown of like whether or not to build banks. I don't know if you remember that video. It was like basically an Excel spreadsheet presentation, and I thought, oh, okay, this is interesting. Would you say China is your main?
It's interesting because that idea came up the fact that we had a new crate starts there for Dutch. We moved from random crates to fixed crates, and each patch the balance changing drastically. But there was one patch where Dutch were rather incredible, but it was because they started with 500 coin crates, 200 wood, instead of the now 400 coin, 100 food, 100 wood, and that made some real big differences there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and obviously you guys can tell, if you don't know Harrison already, the man has got an extensive amount of game knowledge, and he's just a great mind to ask questions and pick apart. So let's get into it.
Yep.
So let's say I'm just new to China, Harrison, and let's say it's even on the free rotation. I'm doing the free-to-play version of the game, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I want to play China, right? So can you tell me exactly what sets it apart from other civs? This is our first Asian dynasty civ that we're covering, so you can probably get into that as well. And what are the strengths and weaknesses I maybe need to be looking out for as I start China?
Yeah, good question. Now, I think when you're playing a European civilization like, I don't know, French, German, Brits, it's unless you're doing some random other stuff, it's very linear. Your path is quite simple. You can either do H2, H3, and kind of play around those ideas. But with China, the fact that you're now into the Asian dynasties, the amount of tools you have at your dispense kind of grow a little bit more. You have different buildings, wonders, lots of different techs. DE's kind of brought all the civs back to the same level. So back in RE, China had lots of new toys, and the Euro civs felt rather limited, but now they all have new toys. With China, what I think is a good thing about the civ, it is good civ for beginners, because you can essentially play your same strategy regardless of civ matchup, I think very comfortably up to a certain elo level. And there are variations of the strategies to play it. The main one being is the kind of the fast fortress, and then just unit spam in the third age, so we can just move on to the decks for that, if you like.
Yeah, sure. So, and then we'll talk about like unique units and things like that, and then maybe we'll do a breakdown of wonders as we start dealing with the decks. So I'm going to go down here. I have a test deck, totally blank. Think of it as an open canvas for you to work on. So we'll go by age. So we're going to build a standard 1v1 land deck for everybody who doesn't know. So in age 1, what do I need?
Yeah, so there's only 2 cards here in age 1. It's the first 2 cards in the first row, actually. Tea exports, which I refer to as tea leaves all the time, and Northern refugees. Northern refugees, actually, you don't necessarily need it. If I'm building I think we'll build a deck of core cards. We'll just leave it there because it doesn't take too much space. But tea leaves is the premier card. Before getting into that, let's just grab some other core cards around and just build up a skeleton deck.
Okay, sure.
So let's go to the second age. Let's get 700 wood, 700 coin.
Okay.
Let's get your 3 unit shipments, the 8 Chu Canoe, 9 Chang Pikes, 7 Step Riders. No, 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 not Mandarin Duck Squad. Get that out. Get that out. Eight
Okay.
canoe.
Okay, an 8 canoe. Okay, cool.
And let's put the fringe export there as well, because that's quite important for build point of view.
Would that be diplomatic intrigue, or you said the...
Yes, fringe export.
Okay.
I'll give you the clue. It's the one card with the big 300 on it.
Okay, cool.
Third age.
All right.
Let's pick out the 10 skirm.
All right. Or sorry, that's the
You've got really bad aim, haven't you?
chain.
The one
So
hand, the
yeah,
one
there it
holding
is,
the
yeah,
rifle.
Aquabus, yeah.
Come on, yeah.
They look very similar to me. I'm sorry.
Although I don't think it's a core card, I think it's just a worth a discussion point. The Bayang armies. That's the orange card, 16 food,
Okay.
and pick up the 5 meteors as well.
Okay.
We'll pick up the 7 hand mortars. That's quite important.
Okay.
We'll then pick up intervention, which is the man with a jewel ring on a Gurkha shoulder, bottom row.
Jewel ring, bottom row. Where's he at? Oh, yeah.
On the left. Yeah, the design that's always been a bit weird. And we'll put 9 Manchu cav archers.
Okay. Cool. So not the... You don't want any of the infinite stuff. You like the mercenaries. Or sorry, these are the Keshiks. But...
Well, yeah, but this is kind of, I'm saying, like, core
gotcha.
things. So let's go to the 4th age. Let's pick up 2 infinite flying crows, and that will do.
Just that? Okay. Cool.
Yep.
If
you just quickly change your deck, go up 1 deck, 1 back, all the cards will reorder themselves to where they should sit.
So, like, if I go to...
Yep, come back. There you go.
Okay, cool. So I want to ask some questions about this. So I know this is, we still have another 10 that we're going to add, but I want to ask you first and foremost, what is export? Like, I see this, I'm like, I don't know what that is. What's a consulate and what's export?
Okay, so the export is an additional resource that Asian civs can generate. We can all agree on that. Export gathers at... So if a villager is working, whether they hunting, berries, mining, chopping, doing something useful, they generate 0.03 export per second. Now, it's not a lot. It's a real minor trickle, and the reason why it's such a small income is that once in a while you might get enough export to do something with it, and that might be more units, a technology, some crates, some whatever, and that is it's like a little sugar rush, a little bit of dopamine hit, a little bit of an injection into your civ at that time. It's not you can't really farm it, you can't really invest your entire strategy into it, and it just complements what you already have and just gives you like a little bit of a flavor of a different allied civ to bring into your composition to help you along.
Okay, I see. So the consulate allows me to ally with a specific power, which then gives me, I don't know, different technologies or units, and then I can spend export on that. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
but it's not like the influence of the African civs, right? Like, because those you can actually farm and then spend.
Yes, it's basically the similar concept and kind of usage points. However, you get much less of it than influence. They kind of price an influence point as maybe like 2 influence is the same as 3 gold, maybe. If you get a TP in Stagecoach, it's all 1-to-1, and they do change the prices, but they would be the equivalent in influence, but they always turn down the actual influence cost slightly because it's not as easy to get hold of influence as other resources. But with export, it's probably 1 export is worth 3 or 4 coin. It's
wow. Okay.
It's a big difference there.
Yeah.
Let's just say 1 export is half. 1 export for 2 food. One export for 2 resources. Let's do that.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, makes sense. Okay. So, and this is why we have this, right? So it gives you the consulate rickshaw. You get a consulate, right? And then you have 100 export that you can spend. So nice little boost, basically, is what that's for.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's we can go into many levels of actually why that card is there. So I think the first thing to describe about China is the kind of the evolution of the Civ. Of this is a Civ where quite a few tournament games you might have people back in the old game before tea leagues existed go Northern Refugees first, and they go, right, I want to get to the third age quickly, so I want to go 700 coin and 700 wood. And the problem is they get the coin, they have enough coin to age, they're building. Oh, by the way, you use villagers to build wonders. It's not that impactful, but it's actually quite important for this context, because the problem is other players know that you want to age up fast, and they know that for you to age up, you need to be out on the map with villagers, building a building.
Right, to
The
age
building
up.
will auto build up, but it will take you 120 seconds to age with 0 villagers on it. So you want to put some vills on to speed it up.
Right.
And but the problem is that after sending your villagers 700 gold, sometimes you might have enemy units turn up like Musk, Huss, horrendous combo for China to deal with actually, and you're just sat there going, oh geez, I've got nothing here. And you might, instead of sending 700 wood, you might send a unit shipment. I've got one unit shipment here to deal with maybe a multiple combination of units, and you're always feeling really pressured to deal and defend so well. And so many tournament games have ended within like 6-7 minutes because they've failed to deal with this. But the meta's changed. This new card Tea Leaves came in, and it's just revolutionized the Civ and instantly put it up 2 tiers. They've had to take other nerfs into the Civ to kind of rebalance it, but 98% of the games I'll be going T export card 1 instead of something else like Northern Refugees or any of the other potential Age 1 cards. It is the go-to. Okay. So the reason for that is you can drop down the consulate, you can ally straight away with a foreign power thanks to the 100 export in your inventory. So that's why that is there, so you can make use of it straight away, which is super strong. It's so many extra resources, kind of. It's such a good start, and you can either go French or Russians. If you go French, you get a 5% economy for all your villagers, and then you can send in food crates straight away. So the 5% mitigates the extra villagers you'd get from the shipment, and then the food crates, well, it's extra resources. You age up so much faster, you get so much more tempo, get into the next stage, and then that transition from age 2 to 3 is quicker as a result of that card compared to Northern Refugees. Russians, villagers build fat, so villagers train faster, they cost a little bit less, that's their residual bonus, pays homage to the Russian TC.
Right.
But also, you can then use the exports to buy in a blockhouse wagon, which you can put in your base. It's a barracks, it's an outpost, it's 5 population, it's super safe. It allows flexibility to pivot into age 2 units if you realise you're getting rushed and you don't want to go to the third age. It is a standard way to start an age 2 play if you wanted to. And Cav raids, I always feel people raiding Cav into China with a Russian blockhouse is kind of pointless because the blockhouse has multiple damage to cavalry with a multiplier 1.5, so they do like 45 per shot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all outposts do, but that's the additional benefits. If you have a 90 attacking town centre with a blockhouse firing as well, yeah, Cav is taking 135 each shot and thinking, oh, I'm going to get killed really quickly here. Just try and kill a Vil. Oh wait, no, they can just garrison in the blockhouse, in the TC, in their villages as well, which is a important Civ bonus actually. So it's the extra flexibility of having the consulates early. It leads to more safe, reliable gameplay, and the fact that you are all in the game always until much later into the game, which is really, really nice.
So I have a couple questions. So the blockhouse, does it train Chinese units or does it also train Russian units?
It trains purely Chinese units, still in the batch mechanics. So it trains all the units from the barracks, and it trains the 2 banner armies from the castle. So you cannot train any artillery from that, but you can train an army which you cannot get in the barracks in the second stage, called the Mongolian army, which is Step Rider Keshit, which is really, really useful in the fact that you have mobile cav mobile dragoons in H2 to deal with cav civs like Germany, like France, like the things that you wouldn't be able to do beforehand if you're playing this game on the old patch.
Okay, interesting. And then you mentioned villages. So villages are the Chinese house, but you can garrison inside them, and they also just give, what, 10 population or more?
20 population, they cost 180 wood, so a little bit more cost per pop benefit. Really, we're talking this when we're playing later. Really important. You will put your villages behind your TC, else I will fly out and slap you. I do not want to see a forward village ever.
So why don't you do that?
Yeah, well, I feel the rage because I see pro players not doing this. So we've covered how China ages with villagers building wonders. Therefore, they do not need a town center. You do not research at a town center. If your town center goes down, you can still age up. Right. That's really fundamental. Now, the villages, they provide 20 population. They have less HP than 2 houses. They're probably the same HP as 2 Indian houses together, maybe a little bit more, but they are relatively fragile. But if you age up to the 3rd age and you lose your village, you don't have random wood crates on the floor. You're pressured with military units everywhere. You have to go out and chop trees, but if you can't do that, you can't send in your shipments.
Right.
It is so valuable if you're attacking China to leave the TC, destroy the villages, and keep everybody idle. If you find a wonder, sit on it, they can't build it, and killing the TC doesn't actually end the game as it would traditionally for Germany, which means if you kill a German TC, they would have to rebuild an outpost to send shipments. They cancel their age up if they're aging. They're in real big trouble. But China, it's actually, it's bad, but it's not actually terrible.
Okay, so you're basically saying that the villages are just as important, if not more important, than the TC, at least in the early game. That you want to keep them back, because you just need that, especially that first village is very, very vital. So that's like a big weak point for China early. Is the village cost?
Yes, but it's also the awareness of how easy of a target it is to go and pick up a village. They aren't strong, and you do set yourself back, because at this most build orders you only have that one village into the fortress age, so you kind of want to keep that nice and safe where possible. But okay. That's kind of maybe going more nitty gritty of how many to have at any point or that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So the build order generally is tea leaves card 1, 700 coin card 2, and from there you can send in unit shipments to stabilize if you're being pushed. You can send 700 wood if you're not being pushed to kind of get that infrastructure up on the transition. And you also have 300 export, which reduces the price of switching drastically to another. So it's essentially 375 export total, because most of the times, if you start the game in either France or Russia, you're most likely, 80% of the time, let's say, going to switch to Brits at some point because of the British units and the British bonus.
Okay. All right, cool. So then, all right, so there's no other cards that you want to add in terms of the skeleton deck. There's no other cards you want to add in Age 1.
No.
Okay, cool. All right, going to Age 2, I do want to ask about the units really quick too, because, you know, somebody who's brand new, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, banner armies, I don't know what any of these units are. So let's do that really quick. I mean, I think 700 wood, 700 coin is self-explanatory, but let's start with the bread and butter, I guess, the chukunu. So who are these guys, and do they suck?
These are your crossbow equivalents, and they are, you know, they're cheap units. They are very, very, very good at killing their counters, heavy infantry, dragoons. They fire 3 bolts of arrows. You don't even necessarily need to know the details of it. I think the first bolt does the most damage, but essentially they just are another reskin of a crossbow unit, but has decent damage versus musketeer style infantry. Your next unit is the pikeman. Acts like any other pikeman, but with a nice Chinese name in front of it. Similar kind of HP attack. Huge multipliers versus cavalry. Pretty bad versus everything else.
Yeah. Okay. And then our step riders.
This is the interesting unit out of the bunch. So step riders, they are raiding cavalry. They're called. Their stats are about 180 HP, 15 hand attack, which is not a lot. 3 Huss might just about beat 7 step riders. Maybe with some micro you can crank up on top, but they're not mainly used for traditional sense of killing other heavy cavalry, but they do have multipliers versus crossbow units, so they're good on that. They also have high siege, so they're really good at going out on the map, sieging down trading posts, sieging down torps, shrines, houses, banks, getting in. And there's a lot of plays where players may want to go Tedious card 1, 7 Step Riders card 2, and then Age with the 700 coin behind, and try and cause as much havoc with the 7 steps if possible.
So then what would you define as the difference between, let's say, because we covered Hausa and Ethiopia, so, somebody listening to this, well, what's the difference between a step rider and a raider from Hausa? Or are they like basically similar units in your estimation?
Oh god, that's a question. Unfortunately, it's the Chinese units, they do melee attack, but their class is siege units, unfortunately. So you got to be careful. Minutemen do bonus damage versus them.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think the Desert Raiders are classed as siege units. They're just outlaws, but they do siege attack with their flaming torches. It's very strange, but I don't think Minutemen counts them. It's just a weird quirk. I don't mind the fact that Step Riders are classed as siege units. Oh, sorry.
The Raider. Yeah.
The Raider, not the Desert Raider.
Right. I know. Kind of confusing. We got a lot of similar names going around. Yeah.
No, okay, versus Raider, they are essentially equivalent. I can't tell you the main differences. I think the Hausa Raider doesn't have multiplier splits versus heavy infantry and light infantry, but the Chinese one does. But that level of detail doesn't really matter too much.
Okay. And then now diplomatic intrigue, we already kind of talked about it. I don't know if you want to go through all the different allies that you could potentially have. I feel like that would be, you're more than welcome to. I won't stop you. But it may be a lot, yeah. Somebody can figure it out on their own. Just look at it.
No,
right?
so well, you can train units. So the French can. There's different bands of units. Band 1, Band 2, Band 3. Band 1 costs 400 export Age 2. Band 2 is 800 export and is available in Age 3. Band 4 is like 1600 and available in the 4th Age. All units from the consulate shadow tech across all ages. So a Band 1, which only costs 400 export, is still your go-to units to be trained in the 3rd and 4th Age, because you just want to keep on using exports as it comes in. So for French, it is 4 grenadiers. Really strange, they don't have their rifle grenade launcher. It's just 4 hand grenadiers. British, they have redcoat musketeers. They send 6. If you're playing Russia, you get 5 Cossacks. That's actually quite... No, you get 4 Cossacks. You train 4 Cossacks. If you're playing as the Germans, you get 3 Doppelsodners, which is really actually... They get better in late game because of larger army comps. They can kind of hide underneath, but early game, right, I'd stay away from the German consulate. And they have one more, or maybe not. I don't think I've ever used it. Maybe they don't. No, they only have 4. Yeah, they only have 4. Yeah.
Okay.
This would be so embarrassing if they have 5 console options, but I think they only have 4.
Nobody's judging you. You're sitting here worried, and this guy is like literally just talking about all this just from the top of the dome is insane to me, right? Like
I'm just gonna run into a skirmish game and quickly go.
Is there anything else you want to add in H2 though?
I wouldn't. Well, you could add 600 wood, 600 coin. Either both, one or the other. The idea being is that, let's say my game plan is I'm going to go to the 1st Age, go Russian consulate, on the tea leaves, get himself a blockhouse. This blockhouse can be made in base, it can be made mid map. You could sometimes I go forward with a villager, build a village, which then is a shipment point, which I can then receive the blockhouse wagon to then build the blockhouse. So I'm training from mid map, faster reinforcements, defense in the middle, that kind of ideas there. If I train units, I can either train. Okay, so a quick point: if people haven't realised, China have a curse on them. They train these things called the banner armies. Why is it a curse? Because you have to have. You click a button and it says you can buy three crossbows, 3 pikemen for this cost, which is like 280 food, 255 wood. Or you can go, I'm going to buy 3 crossbows and 2 step riders for 280 food, 170 coin. Every way of training a unit out of a barracks and a blockhouse and a castle, you have to pay the full price for the full package of units up front before you get allowed to train them. This is absolutely different to most cities except Russia. Russia is also very similar to the infantry, but if you're playing as France, you can queue up 1 musketeer. You have 1 musketeer training for 24 seconds, and at that point you're thinking, do I train 1 musketeer? Do I cancel that 1 musketeer? Do I add another 4 to complete a batch of 5 musks and 5 musks appear? You have that flexibility. You can kind of say, I'm going to go for 5 musketeers, don't have the resources up front for it, and pay later once you get closer to the train point. But China, you have to have everything paid before you train the units, and that's a curse. It's horrendous. It's
right.
And point number 2 as well. Because they're banner armies, they always have 2 different types of units in the army. You cannot just say, I want pure skirms, I want pure crossbows. It doesn't exist. They come in different sets, and how you manage that set is the real problem there. And that's why the wood crates and coin crates are important, because you can kind of say, right, I'm going to send my wood crates, and that's going to pay for some housing, it's going to pay for 1 batch of units, and all my villagers on food. Sending the coin crates, right, I'm going to have all my villagers on food, and the coin's going to pay for 3 batches of units and Minutemen if I need it.
I see what you're saying.
But then you always want another set of coin crates available. So if you just say, right, I want to age up now, I need to quickly do it, I've got a shipment to spend on it, let's send in the coin, gather the crates, everyone food, and up you go. So it's very bad to be stuck in an age with no more coin crates. That's your kind of your strategic leverage to kind of jump to the next stage whenever you want to put it. So I would say 600 coin more important than 600 wood, but 600 wood very important still for spamming units, and it's just very worthwhile.
But this is for like staying in age 2 mainly, right? So we're not. This is like an optional kind of thing for you. Okay, cool. So I'll that's an honorable mention, and that's a really great explanation. So the banner armies, right? So people, if you're first playing China, you're gonna end up in a game and you're gonna be like, what the heck is this? Like, why am I have to buy the bulk package, right? It's like shopping in bulk. I don't know if you have that in the UK, if you have like Costco or Sam's Club where you just buy things in bulk. Like, can I just buy 1 water bottle? No, you have to buy 24, right? Like massive amounts.
Yeah.
So it's the same.
We have a similar shop, but that's for kind of businesses wholesaling. Is the kind of premises. It's not just a random anybody can walk in off the street and just shop there.
Right. The only supermarket in the UK I know is what, Tesco? Is that Tesco?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can go in there, you can go to the chilled aisle where you could get your meal deal and buy 1 can of Coke. You can kind of go to the aisle which has all these other Cokes and go, right, there's a 8-pack, there's a 16-pack, there's a 24-pack, there's like a 750ml bottle of Coke, there's a 2-litre bottle of Coke, and then you just endlessly stack up more and more. But it's not as bulky as I can only buy 1 can of Coke or 72. It's not that.
Gotcha. So China's like bulk buying. You're bulk buying units, but the individual units are cheaper, right? But you're having to buy like a set, in order to kind of like a meal combo at Tesco, right? It's like gotta get
that is true. They are the Chinese units are kind of referred to as weaker and cheaper, and then how they actually stack together to make these banner armies you won't notice it unless you really dig into it. But a Chu canoe costs like 90 food, no other resources. But the pikeman might cost 85 wood. So when you have sets of 3 of those together, you end up with a price on your table for 270 food and 255 wood. You're like, how have we come to here? How has this happened? So that's how they kind of make the banner armies change. The only problem is, let's say you want to change the price in the balance in terms of the price of a Chu canoe, you have to then change the price of everything relating to the Chu canoes around. So the standard army, the old Han army, and that's the only 2 armies for Chu canoes there.
Do you feel as if that's the like biggest barrier to entry for people playing China, like learning the banner armies and like getting used to that mechanic? I feel like that's like huge.
True. I mean, another one. It's I have very strong opinions on this, but there's no musketeer button. So newer players, weaker players, they might struggle with the fact that actually they might have to control their units a little bit in earlier parts of the game to get the most value. Because funny that in close range, musketeers beat skirmishers, crossbows. They beat pikes, they beat husks, they beat everything. They're really good units, but China doesn't really have readily access to those.
Right. Yeah. Listen, I'm a low, weak player, so I use muskets and I march them right up.
Have you ever lost like a Brit player going muscuss and you go, all you did was make musketeers, hussars, both costing food and coin, and just Z move the army and just
that's right,
hands off and just go, well that was. I mean, on the receiving end, you're like, oh my god, so annoying. I'm sweating trying everything to win this fight, and the other person's like, just hands off the keyboard. This works, yeah, sure. And so it's that difference becomes less and less the higher skilled you go, but there's for me an awareness that just certain compositions are significantly better because of how easy it is to play a composition. And that's something that China doesn't really have great answers for.
Okay. So nothing else in H2 besides those optional cards that we discussed, but a good discussion.
I mean, the H2, China's H2 is good. It's not great. It would lose to a lot of other civs H2 if they stay that. So you can kind of punish booms, you can punish whatever, but it's not real. Your creme de la creme. You're just going to the 3rd age, and the row of cards there in H3 is the cards I would want to see in most decks, but it's not that the card order here is go card skirms, then the meteor hammers, then the Manchu. It's kind of you kind of play card roulette versus your opponent. What should I go for first? Might do this. I think I'm just going to describe a situation as we get to the 3rd age to kind of let you know what you might be having. So TDs first. Let's say we're going Russian consulate, blockhouse down, 700 coin comes in, we're aging up. What I like to do sometimes there is not go 700 wood, go for the 300 export, and the reason for that is it takes time to come in and switch. You can switch to British consulate. You don't need the wood because you've already got your barracks, you've already got your consulate, so you've already saved 400 wood. What you might do if you're doing some sort of like northern villagers card 1 approach first, you go up to the next stage, and most of the time, that's a good point. We'll talk about age up wonders in a second. Most of the time, you go up to the 3rd age with the porcelain tower, and you put that on wood to get your house in. But then you can age up, and you can train. You have enough export then to train your first batch of redcoat musketeers from the Brit consulate, and you're like, yes, I've got some musks, and then you go, oh, I can click intervention and get some more musks, and you end up with 15 musks. Or you can go, I already got musks, but the person has also got, he's still in H2, he's still got musketeers himself. I really want that range advantage. I'm going to send in 10 skirms. And then you can say, I got some musks in the field, starting my skirmisher play, and then my first batch of units from the barracks might be skirm and sword. So you kind of add into that skirmish composition. You started with a number of skirms, and you can kind of play from there. There's loads of kind of variations and options in terms of like how you want to go about it. I think just a quick description of those cards there is quite important. 10 Arquebusiers is your only skirmisher card you have. They outrange the Chu Canoe. there's nothing special about them. They are quite weak, and they have been made weaker over time.
Okay.
Your Beiyang army is your way to spend extra food if you've missed macroed and got lots of food. They upgrade your steps and keshiks to veteran and give you 8 steps and keshiks. So 8 melee cav, 8 dragoons. The units themselves are weak, but it's I've got myself some livestock. I'm going to eat that. I've missed macroed while I've been housed. I can't send anything. I've now just built the house. I'm now floating 1,000 food. Well, this seems pretty good. And then that has good synergy of chasing down armies, snaring them, and letting your musk skirms behind kind of catch up and do the damage.
So the Keshik is a cav archer then.
Cav archer, yeah.
Okay.
The 5 meteor hammers is just the standard age 3 cavalry that China has access to. Has a special ability of attacking with a whip. Okay, so I guess it's a flail is the actual weapon, but all you need to know is a spiky ball on the end of the chain, which gives it a special property that it attacks from range. It's still melee, it looks melee, but there's a big distance between your unit and your attacking unit. And it has a very annoying property for non-China players. You can attack a musketeer in melee, but the musketeer is still in ranged fire range, so it will fire back at you instead of going into melee, which means the musketeer is not microing correctly because it could do more damage in melee. Right. So it's a bit of a weird one, but you could also have a meteor hammer attacking over pikeman, a musk, explorer in front of it.
Interesting.
To then attack the units that unit is attacking as well because of this range property. So the unit is weak compared to a Vethas, but it feels very strong because of that property.
I feel like, there's always like a star unit, and I may be wrong about this, right? So like when I talked to other players, like MFD would always talk about how like with the How to Know Shawnee, he would say, well, the Forest Prowler is the star unit, so like get your composition around the Forest Prowler to make them perform. And then he said for Lakota, he said that the Axe Rider is your star, so like you want to build your comp around that. I feel like with Chinese players, at least from what I've seen on the ladder, which isn't, it's not 2K, but like, around that 1300 range, I've seen Chinese players like this is kind of the star for them. Like everything is kind of making sure that the meteors can land home. Like they want to get that heavy cavalry working for them. But this is a pretty big unit for them.
Yeah, I think the phrase is you can't go wrong with heavy cav because you could either have, let's say, a heavy cav and skirm idea. If you're playing Germany, you Ullans work very well. You could have heavy cav and melee, so like Rod Lancer. The heavy cav works there as well. You could have heavy cav goons, so let's say Reuter Hussars for the Dutch. The heavy cav work well there. So you always want some heavy cavalry where possible for the ability to kind of snare, let your other units catch up, get in there, get stuck in, but it's also the fact that it's a cavalry shipment and there's 5 of them, and it's more than the other H3 shipment of 4 iron flails, which they have a different role of heavy cav, but they're still heavy cav, but there's only 4 of them. So that's as simple as why one card's better than the other. But the meteor hammer unit does a specific job of being an all-round cav unit in terms of stats, but then attacking from range for that.
Gotcha. So what is the iron flail then, since we've brought them up?
So it also has that whip in motion, but it doesn't have the extra range. Think of it as a Naginata rider with splash. So it's good at crushing through longbows, skirmishers, but does low damage versus musks and heavy cavalry.
Okay. Does it have a multiplier against all infantry like a Lancer unit, or no? It doesn't. It's not like that.
No, Nagi. So you see, good against archers, skirmishers, and artillery.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So it's what it says on the tin, quite literally. Next card there is the 7 hand mortars. Now we talk about card roulette sometimes. Here's a situation: you're playing versus Ottoman or Spain. They've done a fast fortress, and they have put themselves a tower right in front of your base, and they have a special card in their deck called the 2 Falconet card. If you think they're going to send 2 Falconets, you got 2 options. You can either go 5 meteor hammers and try and close in and attack the artillery. You still have that range advantage, but you need to close in and kill off the falconets. And you need to trade. They need to both go down. Even if you lose the cavalry, they need to go down. But most likely they have pikes, jans, musks, whatever protected. So that doesn't quite work. 7-hand mortars are the Chinese equivalent of the culverin. So this is kind of unique that it's the only civ which can send a culverin in the Third Age. It's not really a culve, but 7-hand mortars I think do about 80% damage to a falcon. So, and they have a good range and longer range than a falconet, just about. But
nice. Okay.
En masse. And like when stuff's flying, you got your TC flying, your Minutemen cores, everything's jumbled in. Hat and mortars pop, select them, right-click the falconets, and they will go down. So, but then they do near enough no damage versus human soldiers, infantry, cavalry. They are good at sieging buildings. It's just a weak mortar from range, so they do decent damage, but not as much as you want. But it's also from range, so it's like a hybrid culverin mortar, but there's no falconet elements there whatsoever. You cannot really use them into mass musk or skirm. It just doesn't exist.
Gotcha. Because your artillery units that are really made for anti-infantry work is your flying crow and your flamethrower, technically, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The quick spiel on both of those flamethrowers, quite hard to get only from the castle. Quite expensive, 170 wood, 170 coin. Once you get in close, they do good damage, but there's a big target on them, and with only 50% range resist, you can just get them clicked down by skirmishers and dragoons, and unless you get the value back from them, sometimes it's just safer to not go into them.
Okay, gotcha. And then
the flying crow. You can get a flying crow in Age 2 actually from one of your wonders, but they scale on age. I'm gonna say Age 4 stats, because in Age 3, a flying crow, is heavy and slow. It can one shot a falconer. It does very good damage versus the buildings, but it's really below expectation of what it does to armies. It doesn't blast them like the heavy cannons do. You might kill a musk and do damage to 2 others in a volley, which is just not enough to kind of turn the tide of a fight. It is only really good at killing artillery and buildings. It says it's good versus infantry. It's not as good as you think.
Okay. Gotcha. So I don't know, do you avoid flying crow and just go for hand mortars when you play, or is it like a matchup dependent kind of thing for you?
Well, I mean, so there's the devs added a 1 flying crow in Age 3. It's never really made an appearance because it's not what you need at that point in the game. It doesn't do enough damage. You get more damage against armies with a 5 meteor hammer shipment, a 10 skirmisher, a 10 sword. The flying crow is only good there versus buildings, but that's also what you can do with hand mortars. So it could replace the mortar, true, but also 1 flying crow versus 2 falcons. Considering that the flying crow takes a while to reload because it's a heavy piece of artillery, and it has less range, it's not as easy to win that exchange there. So caution and consideration has got to be applied there.
Gotcha.
And but it's when you get to the 4th Age though, their stats are comparable to a heavy cannon.
Okay.
And they're really good at that point.
Gotcha. And then
so that's
so last in terms of what is in the skeleton is the Manchu Cav Archers, which is a pretty popular card. I feel like that's like a lot of people talk about this card.
Yes, I mean, so the Manchus are really good. It's a really good unit. It's a high, because it's a bow unit. It has a high rate of fire, 1.5. So it fires twice as fast as a blank friar does. That's kind of not really hitting the point. The point here is it's a good way to spend excess coin. You can, with these, any game, a little bit of fighting, a little bit of distraction, you can be floating. So it's nice to have a way to spend over too much food or too much coin. But China has this label, which is not necessarily true these days, but it used to have a label, and things haven't really changed too much. Maybe the Beiyang kind of metas come in and Keshik's been buffed slightly over patches to kind of put this not as critical. But before before Beiyang army really existed, you wouldn't find people with 10 keshiks in their deck because they would have to make a barracks, and then they have to spend resources to upgrade their keshiks, which means they have to spend time in the game not training units but upgrading one unit type. And China has the ability to keep training units, but maybe not produce from 2 buildings or resources to build that second building. But they've always had this like critical weakness versus cavalry. There's same, you could call 14 pikes, but you'd have to upgrade them to veteran if you want them to be pretty decent. There's a man holding the sword there called the Changdao Swordsman, and he comes out with the Skirm Sword Army. He's kind of, I can't think of the equivalence units, maybe like the Barbary Corsair in terms of what they try to do. It's a fast-moving sword-like infantry, but it's not. It has less attack than a Rodolero, less melee resist than a Rodolero. I think has slightly less multipliers versus cavalry than one. So although they are good en masse and doing stuff in a big ball of units and they kill stuff, versus, let's say, a heavy cavalry like Spahi Cuirassiers is just actually not good.
Oh, okay.
It leads you to a false sense of security, and the problem is once you lose your heavy infantry, your skirms are at threat, your melee cavalry is at threat as well, and the Manchu's only real reliable way to get dragoon style onto the field.
I see. So with the swordsmen, though, you would say that they're pretty outmatched by lancers, or do you feel like that goes either way?
Oh yeah. 5 lance. I think 5 lancers should beat 10 Changdaos. I hope they beat 5 lancers. But the problem is those Changdaos on the front line, so they're also taking shots from musks and skirms behind the lancers, so they get killed very quickly.
Right. Okay. All right, and then so that explains the Manchu cav archers. But since H3 is like you're saying is like what you want to get to, that's really where they shine. You know, what other cards are you adding in this age?
Oh, in the third age, so I'll be looking through probably. There's one card. There's one more card I want to talk about a bit more in depth, but we'll just get that. We'll probably put in the double-faced armor, which is second row, second card.
Double-faced armor. Oh.
Yeah.
That's nice.
1,000 coin. I just realised I'm just trying to find what I want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, so I've only got 2 more. One is kind of booked for something I want to talk about. In my decks at the moment, I do enjoy the 10 Keshik card after sending Beiyang because it can replenish your dragoons. That's a good card.
Okay.
And one card I want to talk about is Repelling Volley, which I call it as RV. So it's the 4th card on the right top row.
4th card in the right top row.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the card. So this card gives you extra multipliers for your Chukanus and Skirms versus Musketeers and Dragoon-style units. So the thing is, it used to also have damage output bonus as well, but I've asked them to remove that, or the devs to remove it, passing comments and occasional like, oh, on stream, oh, this card's too good. India has a similar card to kind of give their skirms counter-infantry rifling, and it feels bad to give counter-infantry rifling via a card to units.
Yeah.
Who don't really have access to an arsenal, but it's also the multiplier in range versus a dragoon. So instead of doing a 3.5 multiplier versus a 2.5 multiplier, you're now doing a 3.5 multiplier versus dragoons. Now you have that little negative multiplier versus all cavalry, but your damage output versus dragoons is like up 40% from one card.
Wow.
And the thing is, let's say you're playing versus a Sweden player going pure Hackpolites, or you're playing versus a Skirm Goon player. What you can do is you can just grab pockets of skirms and just shift click through their dragoons, and you'll see them dropping like flies because they're not. Most skirm cards are like, oh, skirm combat plus 15% attack, and that's just a generic 15% attack. But this is like a plus 40% specifically for that one unit type, and it used to buff the damage by 10% as well, which kind of dragged that multiplier up to like 55% damage increase versus dragoons.
Jeez.
So it's really, it's really nice. So think about war wagons from Germany.
Oh yeah, that's
If you
true.
if you're shift clicking, sometimes you might take 20 skirms to 2 shots kill a war wagon. So you might kill like 80%, and then you just come again for the next one. But that might be a one-hit kill. The importance being is the quicker those dragoons die, the more time your heavy cavalry is in the fight, snaring, doing damage, killing the skirmishers. So that's kind of the areas there, and it's one of those cards that it needs to be in your deck because it is a good way to kind of answer. Having unit upgrades is very important as the game goes on, because later in the game, actually sending something like just 10 cav archers doesn't change the game, but sending the right upgrade may actually change the game.
And you're going to have a massive, just a large army, because if China is given time, right, they're just adding. And so with a huge massive Chocanu or Arquebusier, what's going to happen is you send this card, and then, obviously you're going to take higher casualties than your opponent, but because of the trade-off in cost, you're going to be trading far more favorably, even into skirmisher mass, dragoon mass, right?
And dragoons are what is it? They're prevalent in most games anyway. They're the one unit type of, if you make lots of dragoons and you see a fight and you're like, oh, well, he's got too many skirms, I might lose this. You go, oh, just run away. It's not a problem. Right. And with the fastest unit in the game, you're not committal with them. You can just go in and go, yeah, not liking it, I'm going to back off. But with skirms, if you turn up with 20 skirms and you're facing 10 gendarmes, you're like, I can try and run away, but I'm still going to die. Right. And you haven't got that luxury. So and the strategical value of that card is higher than Skirm Sword Combat, which is one of the shield cards. 15% combat. Usually, you go, great, combat card for my units, perfect, send them in, but it doesn't, because the stats are so low, yes, you might get a couple more points here, but because your overall army is so more diverse than just 2 unit types, it doesn't really matter.
I see.
I think that's what I want to talk about the cards, because you can go so more deep on this, but there's no need to.
I gotcha. So I want to ask as well about repelling volley. So you mentioned Muskas being just this like huge problem for China. Does this card solve the musket problem for you, or is it still an issue? Like if I'm playing Brits and I triple card my muskets, right, and then
I'm gonna say no, because most of the time, if you're playing versus a Muskas player, they're really striking you as you're aging up. So the games are kind of mostly done in the early points of the game before you can even think about upgrading. You're still kind of sending in those units, and later in the game, Brit maybe wanting to go more. They still have some musks, but they'll be doing a bit of everything. A bit of longbow, a little bit of musk, a little bit of husk, a little bit of goon, a little bit of falk, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And to be fair, the game goes late, you're kind of screwed versus Brit anyway, because they're the best civ in the game.
Here we go. Hot takes.
They really are. They really are at the moment. Phoenix has climbed to the top of the ladder with them. He only plays Brit.
I'm gonna bring you on. I'm gonna bring you on for the tier list video, Harrison. We're gonna do a tier list roundtable. We're gonna bring you on, okay? And you're gonna end up fighting with everybody. It's gonna be a good time.
Do you think Brits are bad civ or a good civ?
No, I think Brits are fantastic. I think Brits are fantastic.
They do get a villager every time you build a house.
Yeah, but that's been the case since 2007. I
know it has. It's incredible how it's probably the civ's changed the least, but it's still so good.
That one bonus is just yeah.
It's still so good.
Yeah, I don't know what civ is the best. I think whenever anybody says, well, this civ is the best, I'm obviously you're a much higher elo player than me, so I would say you definitely know what you're talking about. Obviously your game knowledge is off the charts, but anytime best comes in, I start to kind of wonder, I'm like, well, everything is like matchup and map dependent from where I'm standing.
Have you lost against the Ottoman Church FI?
It's been a long time since I have.
Have you had lots of Spahis, Bombards, and Nizam Fusiliers just blasting your way? Because that's kind of the best civ, the middle elo range, definitely.
Yeah, that happens a lot. It happens a lot. But every time I see an Ottoman player, I know what to do now because it happens so often. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I know, especially because now with Brits, they have the Black Watch, and that just kills That just destroys any Ottoman FI plans that you have. I mean,
it doesn't know. That we can talk about other stuff. It's all fun, but like that's the funny part. You go in with your Black Watch and your 2000. You think you're having a time, and then Ottoman's trying to age up to the fourth, and they go, actually, I'm under pressure here, so I'm just going to spend my food on, and click the Spahi button and time it with the Bashi Bozok's Minutemen. For some reason, those Minutemen have multipliers versus both mercenaries and heavy infantry.
Yeah, that's true.
So instead of doing 25 attack into a Highlander, they're now packing in a respectable 64.
I mean, I still think Ottomans are S tier. You know, you're not going to hear from me that I'm not going to. I'm saying Ottoman. It's people at your range that are like Ottoman are not S tier. I'm like, no, they're from where I'm standing. Certainly S tier.
No, it's people way higher than me. I'm flying the flag for the gatekeeper elo tier or the mid elo tier.
What do you were like? What, you're like 1900? You're like 2000?
Oh no, excuse me. I'm now at 1750, which is a relatively high place for me.
That is a high place. That's what, top 500, right? It's got to be easily top 500.
Top 200.
Yeah. Okay. So then, yeah, you're fine. World class, man. Don't worry about it. All right. Age 4.
Unit shipments, really. Upgrades late game. You can kind of pick anything you want, really. Here, there's nothing here which I'd say is to gonna break you the game or lose you the game. Just interesting shouts. There's a village goat card. You get a villager and a goat for each town centre and village that you have. So it's like it could be a 7 villager plus 1800 food shipments. That's a interesting one. That's
okay.
Top left.
Oh, top left. Oh, this guy right here. Okay, cool. Great migration.
Yeah. So that's you wouldn't go to the 4th age to send that, but as the game goes on, you might want to send that.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to add cards to a deck to play, you'd probably want to have the 17 skirms there. You probably want to have the 8 meteor hammers. Maybe the 17 Changdaos. I think 17 Changdaos in the 4th age makes sense because you can age up to the 4th age with a wand, which gives you lots of skirms. There's a couple upgrades, but the only one upgrade, which is I think super useful, is the man holding the sword in the middle, 2nd row. Western reforms. That's an 8% combat for every unit in the game.
What an interesting card.
Units.
That's so weird.
8% is not a lot, but when it boosts your villager, your explorer, your natives, your infantry, your artillery, your anything and everything, your consulate units, you're like, wow, okay, that is pretty good. Yeah, some people like the 26 Rattan shields at this point. Some people try and have the old dynasty reforms to try and go into those archaic units late game, which is the power, not the power spike, but super late game China with old dynasty reforms is insane because those 1 pop units are essentially 1.5 pop units in terms of cost and strength, but still need 1.
Nice.
But I wouldn't worry about it anymore. If you're picking cards to fill out a deck, maybe I like the Emperor's Own Army. 17 skirm, 13 arquebus hand mortars. Oh, that's 22-8. Yeah, that's great for just skirm, goon massives, and then taking on heavy artillery in buildings. That's fine. And then maybe 600 coins age 2, like we was talking about. The you need stuff to age up. 600 coin age 2.
Oh, 600 coin. Sorry, I thought you meant 1600.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
I'd be happy with that deck. That's kind of what keeps me happy. I mean, if you used to save it, then reshuffle it, it will come in the order. You would actually see it in the game. That is very important, actually, because if I was to check if a deck's got 10 arquebusiers, I'm looking like the first 3 slots. If it's not them, like he hasn't got it. I'm not looking for 10 arquebusiers at the end of the 3rd row because that's just. So there's a placement, and these things used to be really well placed out, and then some DE cards just make no sense. They just chuck them in and just haven't really shut.
Kind of like this one. It's like your upgrades will just like be in the middle, right?
No, but look. What is the upgrade sat next to? Sat next to the skirmisher card.
Right.
The cav upgrade is next to the cavalry.
Makes sense.
Your mercenaries are at the ends of the row.
Right.
Your crate shipments and economies at the front of the row. It stacks up quite nicely like that.
All right, compliments to the devs.
Don't tell me you never thought about that.
Have I thought about it? I think I have. Probably. I don't know. I mean, I've been playing this for years. I don't know if I think you just take it for granted, right? You're just like, when you're playing so much, you're like, like you said, you look and I'm like, I know exactly, if I'm playing against France, I know exactly where to find the card that I know that he has, right? If he has it right there, right? So that's how it goes for me. But I never really thought about like exactly how they place it out. I just know where to look, if that makes sense. Just sort of second nature at this point. But this is our land deck, I guess, right? In its entirety. It has a lot more H4 than I expected, but this is a well-rounded, obviously, emphasis on the H3. When do you feel like aging up, though? Like, in your H3, when does China want to age up?
If you're learning out the Civ, the short answer to that is I wouldn't worry about it. It will happen. If it happens, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. The 1,000 coin there is to either age up as a straight FI or to supplement training units from 2 production buildings once you've got more wood to have more pop space or whatever. Because it'll get to a point where you're just floating resources after training from one building. You kind of need to add a second there, but that's kind of what it really is. There's a build where you can do like a Chinese FI. I don't think it's a strong build. It is a strong build, but I don't think it's a game-breakingly strong build. And it's another one of those you just you can get countered. So I wouldn't put it as your main kind of top 3 strategies as China when you're learning out.
Okay.
You don't get too much back from it.
Fair enough. So with this deck in mind, Harrison, I want to, let's say I'm on a water map, okay, and I have, I want some water options to either maybe, stop a boom or maybe start taking advantage of water when I have the chance to. So how would I reform this deck to then have water play?
You could do something like take out one of your H2 unit cards and put in 2 war junk. So I'll take out 9 Chang pikemen or the 600 coin for that. I mean, if a person's going water, you're not necessarily making spamming units H2, so you probably won't need the 600 coin there.
Okay, so you want the 2 war junks.
2 war junks. You see there's a little boat, there's a fiery boat next to it. That's called the fire ship. They're good versus warships and buildings. You wouldn't want to use them to kill fishing boats. They're just not efficient.
Okay, gotcha.
But I wouldn't use that as a shipment though. That's a weak shipment. That is.
Okay.
Very weak.
Got it. And then
third age. This is a critical one. I'll probably take out. The spider armor. Was it double face armor? The calf shield one, and then put it in 1 Fulkan.
Ooh. Okay. Heavy warship trains. So this is like your galleon, though, right?
Frigate.
Okay.
It's a heavy frigate which can train units.
Okay.
It does. Last time I checked, it does not have galleon properties of resisting building fire.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So then two cards here for. Does China doesn't really like to go water? I get the feeling, or are they pretty good with water?
You might find a build where you could kind of mix in like a small amount of water eco to supplement. You can kind of play your opponent. At that point, I wouldn't. It's not part of a quoted build order, but you could kind of play around it. The short answer is no, and one of the reasons for that is your H3 Wonder. If you go up with a Wonder Path of Summer Palace into H3 and Porcelain Tower, that Porcelain Tower is worth 8 villages on wood. So you would need the equivalent like 14 fishing boats, 13 fishing boats to kind of have that similar level of raw economy working for you.
I see what you're saying.
And your Summer Palace is always trained units for free, so put them onto H3 units, and that's continuous 4 villages eco worth of training units, and you kind of just want that tempo to drive. Late game, go water, get the boom going, get next age, just absolutely fine play. But yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. So, guys, if you're watching this, take a screenshot. This is your sort of water deck. Gives you some options there. Nothing too crazy, but we're going to go ahead and switch these back to our land option. And then you can take a screenshot of that. So what we're going to do now, Harrison, is this is, as you can see, I am level 1 China.
Oh my god, wow.
Yeah. So this is brand new to me. I mean, I played the campaign. That's about it. So we're going to go and, not multiplayer. That would be a bad idea. We're going to go into skirmish.
I reckon you could. What is your EDO on? I don't even know how good you are.
I think I'm like, I think 1300. So I would be like absolutely wrecked if I try to go in and play China first time. I feel like not a good idea. Then we got, so then we'll just play on easy, just so that you can kind of walk me through what we're going to be doing.
Okay, sure.
And then we'll probably pause just to kind of look at wonders, you know, so we can kind of, as you can explain, you kind of mentioned them, so we'll just let that play. And then yeah, I'm not going to try to take too many treasures here, I think, if any.
Oh, fine, go on then. Get going.
But we can do that. Now you can explain the monk and all that kind of stuff.
Not really. I would love it when you're playing single player. The game starts so much quicker.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So
let's. Yeah, you want 4 vills on food, 2 on wood, and you want to get a trading post built straight away.
Okay.
Oh my god, it's so painful to watching you herd with 4 vills. Oh my god, where are those vills going? They're not gathering. Oh my god. No.
So wait, do you just go ahead and shoot right away? Is that what you like to do?
Yeah, I mean, ideally you should be trying to get that sorted out while the rest of the crates are being picked up, because you just had 4 villagers walking, doing, like, one villager walking, doing nothing is what it is, but when you got 4 of them, actually, you've just lost your 20 food there. 20 food's gone. Man, it's gone. It's gone.
So how much wood do we need then from here?
We need 180. There was a wood treasure in your base, which you kind of looked at and then didn't take.
We can go for it.
So let's. How much wood is on the treasure? Because there's no point over chopping.
So 25. So we're okay right now.
So we need another 10 to get to 155. Do you want to kill that bison right underneath that TC? That's a prime place to put your new vills on. No, to the T. Oh my god! Oh my god!
That wood is fueling your pyre.
Okay, so then and then the big thing is the village behind. So
Yeah,
something.
No, yeah, but close to the TC though, like. Oh, yeah, I'll do. But yeah.
Oh, that was
not with all your food. Oh boy.
So my mouse is a little glitched for so do you want to use 2 or 1? My mouse is a little glitched, so it double clicks.
Enough so you can build it in time before you're housed.
Right. So like right now, obviously we're housed.
So ideally 1, but sometimes 2 or 3.
Okay. Is the build time any different?
Yes. How are you asking me that question? How do you not? Are you sure? What? You don't know? Okay. If a man builds a house on his own, it's gonna take months.
I'm not saying
If
that.
2 men build a house, it's gonna take
No, I know
less
that.
months.
I know that. I'm asking if the, like, you know, just for standard house build time for 1 is the same for village.
Right. Hit the pause button. I'm gonna explain to you something that might blow your minds.
Yeah.
If I build a house with 1 villager, it's going to take like 40 seconds.
Right.
If I build a house with 2 villagers, it is not going to take 20 seconds. It's a decaying return for more villagers who pile up on. So the difference between 8 and 9 is negligible, but it gets less and less and less efficient the more villagers you build a building. So when you see people building houses with 5 villas at a time, laugh at them, snigger at them, and go, "Ooh, that's not what Harrison would do. That is terrible," and it is terrible. In our base, we've got goats near the berry bushes, and we've got a cow to the north. Put them on the village. The village acts as a livestock pen. A very bad one, but it does fatten cows.
Man, this village does everything. It's kind of crazy.
Well, it used to be really good, but they just nerfed and kept nerfing it. The income rate from as a livestock pen is just terrible.
So is it a 14-ville age up, 15-ville?
You should try 14-ville. You might want to eat maybe goats to help out. We need to obviously ally with Russia. Let's go Russia. Let's just.
Okay, we'll do Russia. Okay, so it's pretty
So the
close.
quicker-
So, and then
So the
you
quicker
want...
that gets, yeah.
All right, so let's
it's
pause
full-
here. So, how many vills do you use to build a wonder? I think is the first question.
So, a wonder takes 120 seconds to build on its own, but it needs somebody to start the foundation. Every vill you put onto it takes 10 seconds off from start, up to 4, and then after they take 5 seconds off. So, for all intents, for purposes, let's just say the answer to this question is 4 villagers to age 2.
Okay.
And that would go up to Summer Palace because they give you food to get to the next age, third age faster, and it starts training units, which is really important because that can be stuff we can use to defend any push.
Got it. Okay, and then your wonder placement. So, do you try to use it for line of sight, or are you trying to?
Summer Palace, I'd go forward with it to kind of build a defensive wall and blocking and tankage, but like that. So. You have that as the location. Now, why is that a terrible position?
This here? Probably because your
why is
consulate
that-
units, you don't want to block them.
No. It's because it's outside the range of the TC fire. You need to be able to kill attacking infantry on the other side of the palace.
Gotcha.
So that's fine. That's all in range. So that's easy to defend. But if you wouldn't put a bank in the middle of the map playing Dutch.
Some would.
You can't. Well, I mean, I don't know what you do at your elo level, but you can't.
It was funny because you mentioned that because there's a Lionheart video of somebody literally doing what you're talking about.
That's probably with the advanced bank card, which gives you envoys can build it at double HP, which is it's a good card actually. It's not the best card, but it's you can do that, but I wouldn't really do that.
So do we want to stay? So do we want to start gathering the 300?
You can also keep training villagers in transition. Your TC is not researching anything, so it actually can carry on the transition.
Sweet.
Yes, we do want to get to 300 gold. So yeah, put stuff over. Let's think about our herding of our next hunt because we're starting to run low of bisons in base. I will be judging your herding abilities.
They're pretty. It could be pretty rough. So then, adding more villagers will just speed this up, right? So like, some strategies may call for 5 or 6.
Yes, but I mean, I wouldn't have more. So, other things to think about is that if you have livestock like this, you might want to eat it early in age 1, so you can get the food to age up faster. A French consulate age up like a minute earlier thanks to those food crates you can get in age 1. So here we send in 700 gold.
Okay. 700 down.
And from our Russian consulate we can train. And I know TC again. Come on, Sir Shark Dad.
Oof. Not good. So blockhouse wagon?
Blockhouse wagon, and that would be placed right in base, protecting your villagers, protecting your close to your TC. I'd probably put it next to that coin mining consulate because it's kind of protecting everything.
Got it.
And we're still heading towards our TC. Getting those basics right is very important. I'll tell you what we could do right now is send in 300 export. That's a nice card we could send in because that'll just show you what we're wanting to do.
Okay.
So yes, we got the coin coming in. We're gathering it up. Let's eat 1 or 2 cows. I think the hunters near the bison might want some more cows to eat soon.
So you don't like to keep them on the village necessarily. You don't feel like it's worth it.
Well, it's worth it, but I mean, at the moment we're not aging up, and we really need to be aging up as fast as possible. So we've clicked up to the next stage here at let's say we put the wonder down 640. We could definitely reduce this by a good 40 seconds, maybe more as well. So we are really late at this point, but the wonder come down, but that's okay. That's what the batch units will do for us. They'll come out and defend us. That's what Minutemen is available. The blockhouse defends. So let's put the porcelain tower down.
Okay, and this just generates resources, so it's like a Japanese shrine basically, but you can set it to whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, it's closer to the European factory.
And then just keep it close once again to TC
Yeah,
and blockhouse. So something like that.
So the real point is here is you want to keep it close to a garrisonable building, because if somebody's walking in with 5 huts right now, those villagers can hop into the TC. Your villagers behind your base on those hunts, they will get killed. They are way too far out. That's not a good place for them to be.
Okay.
So like, if I was playing this as a game instead of versus a Queen Spell, I'll be bringing those villas in because it's just too risky. 5 huts would like that. There's a GG game ending position. Right, let's remove our French, Russian constant, and go Brit.
Okay. Oh, so it takes quite a bit of time. It looks like to end relations.
A minute.
Okay.
It takes a whole minute or 45 seconds, I think. One of the two.
Do we want vills on coin from here?
Yes, we want some coin. Also, we want to try and at least have 80 coin at this point, because that can cause us 1 batch of Minutemen if we're under threat. So we can call pike minutes for Cuss, rifle minutes against Musk, and that play. So I can see that you're struggling to comprehend that the TC can produce villagers while building the wonder, and it takes you. It'll take.
No, it's not idle.
Time.
I had still one more.
No. Well, there's been a little bit of time, but it's more. It's not a natural feeling, is it? Because it's the.
It is not. It is definitely not natural. That is for sure. Like, it is different, but it's a nice like sort of unspoken bonus.
So we can go Brit consulate now.
Okay.
Yeah, it is only 4, isn't it? Yeah, it is 4. Yeah. And so at this point, we can put our porcelain. If we click the porcelain tower, you can put us onto wood.
Okay.
Let's send in 10 skirmishers. We might want to put a couple villas onto trees as well, just to get that first village down. But then the stuff behind, our eco behind, should be enough. And do you know how talking about the potentially having lots of food left over can call Bayang army? Well, this is a perfect situation.
Oh, I see. Okay. Interesting. I was not expecting that, but then this is the free. And then, so what do you want this on? Are you fine with standard?
Well, we're halfway through an army batch, so let's not change it. Otherwise,
Okay.
we'll be pouring resources down the drain.
Okay. So then we're definitely pot, because so in that transition, you want to make sure that you're getting your wood out.
So I think an easier build order would be going 700 wood at that point. But now, once that village comes out, you can click the musketeer button. So let's say you're being pushed in transition with Muscus, you have 6 Royal Veteran Musketeers. Consulate units are shadow attack and 10% combat stats. So these are the most fantastic, and you could from here let's train something from the barracks, like a cav army or a skirm sword army, anything, and just keep on building another.
So cav army would be like your Black Flag or your Mongolian. So let's say Mongolian.
Okay. Interesting. Mongolian, that's all fine. So next card is going to be the Bayang army, and I'll show you why that's a good card.
Okay.
Send that in. So we're going to need some more housing.
Got it.
Let's keep on the housing. We've got a villager inside one of our villages. You're rallying your TC into the village. That's not good.
Oh, that's not good. Yeah, because I was putting the extra on for what was it, to build it.
Yeah, and let's go for one more, then puts your porcelain tower onto coin. Yeah, that forward village would be quite nice at this point, so you can send units forward. So we've got a couple of step riders from our summer palace. We've trained some from our blockhouse. These are now all veteran, plus another 8 step, 8 Keshik.
Okay.
And that will, they love to kill, let's say, a skirmisher Ulan composition. That's so they have a really good synergy there. You got so many villas walking around. What's going on with these villagers? Where are they going?
Which one? That one's building a village.
No, what? Behind your porcelain tower, you're like 10 villas running through the base.
Oh, because he's going to this.
Dead animal. Oh, it's so terrible, isn't it? So awkward. This is the time where you might want to eat those cows and just keep training from the blockhouse, but we're just pumping stuff out now.
Yeah, gotcha.
Pumping stuff.
So then, what are these? Oh, so it just changes your export rate versus
economy. So you can generate, let's say, 35% more export for a 5% penalty in your entire eco, which it's not. I mean, it's okay. I would say I wouldn't ever really click the 10% one, because it is everything gets worse. Even your coin gather rates get worse. we're nearly at 1,000 coin at this point. Some real macro. So time for Manchu.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I
you've
see what you mean.
You've made yourself look like a big brain play. And the reason why we do Manchu here is that you could send in 5 cav, you can train units from the blockhouse, but you still have like 700 coin left over, and that is not stuff on the field right now. So, but now you've trained.
Oh, I see. Yeah. We don't want to do that, right? We want to send that.
So, this is basically, you know, it. And when you get to this point, you're kind of making units and that kind of thing, and oh, top tip. Try and select all your skirmisher style units.
Like this?
Get the bows in there as well, and put a control group on them.
Okay.
Now, select all your melee heavy cavalry and put a control group on them.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Well, then we can do that. I'm not a big fan of the... I have a hard time with control groups just because I have to keep changing them.
So your village will get produced, and you'll get some batches units coming out, and oh, you've just got some more from the Sun Palace. Well, you got some more skirms, put them in the skirm control group. More cav, put them in the cav control group. Oh, you got mansion now, put them in the dragoon group.
Right.
And you realise you spend all your time putting units into different control groups, but actually, what you need to do is, have you got a find all military hotkey?
I do. Right there.
There you go. And you right click across the map. So look on that panel next to your unit detail. You've got yourselves eight different unit types on the field right now.
Yeah.
If you're playing Germany, you might literally have 2 skirms, Uhlans. That's it.
Right.
Maybe war wagons. Playing Brit, Musk, Huss. That's it. Here you have, because you've got the explorer in there as well, the monks, bow swords, red coats, Keshik, steps, and as soon as you train a cav batch of Meteor Hammer and Iron Flail, you're up to 10 comps.
And that would be this guy.
The green one.
Oh, it's the green one. Oh, meteor. Okay, I saw this little symbol here, and I thought that was.
Yeah.
Oh, it is 2 meteor hammer, there, but that's not the main.
Swords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
So like, it's one of those. People joke that it's a Z move Civ because it's too hard to really micro everything. And actually, once you dive in onto your opponents, then all the units will just. They won't also pick the target. I mean, you got your fat cows now. Just those illustrative points of the livestock pen of the village. But it's just that, like, on average, your AI doing what they want to do is a better job than you trying to just right-click everything all at once. So sometimes just let that AI take it over for you. Of just your unit will find the next new units. Yeah, you might want to micro your Kashyyyks to kill the heavy cav, and maybe sometimes put red coats in melee mode. But apart from that, I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's basically an FF, but a defensive FF. It seems pretty nice, right? You got options, and then like you said, the control groups can really get away from you just because, like you said, you have just so much in the composition, as you're playing. But I guess you have to try to keep your control groups up, No, I'd
actually say the opposite. I think because you've got so many variety here, control groups detract in your gameplay. And even if you do have control groups set up for your skirmishers, because your composition is so varied, you don't have like 50% of your army being skirmishers. So you want those 50% working as well as possible. You have maybe like 20% and go. I don't need to really overly control my skirmishers because I don't have too much impact on the fight. I need all my stuff just in there fighting. So yes, you could double click a skirmisher to select all unit type and do what you need to do there. But then the question is, do you put the red coats in the skirm group or do you put them in the heavy infantry group? You have maybe a heavy cavalry control group, but where do the Kashyyyks go? Do they stay with the red coats or do they go with the heavy cavalry? Or is that a 4th control group at that point? And
I see.
It doesn't. Unless you are using control groups for all unit types into like 4 or 3, it's kind of not really not really worth it.
Okay. And this is that 4 range hand attack that you're talking about there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so one of the things that tripped me up was that second village. So the second village, you want to have that down like upon entering age 3, right? So you want 300 coin, and then you want to make sure that you get the 180 wood to...
Yeah, well, so if you play this game again and sent in 700 wood, you wouldn't have that problem. But you'd also probably wouldn't have any units as soon as you aged up, so you might be under considerable pressure. You'd have to wait for that first unit shipment before you can really do anything productive. You'd have enough resources to train units in the barracks, so you'd have your Summer Palace batch producing a batch from the barracks. You'd have your first unit shipment come in, and you'd have your age 3 monk and constrained disciples to kind of hold out at that point. And then the 700 would you go, right, I've got 3 villages, I've got second tier village, which increases population and HP, I've got a market, some architects, and it plays really nicely. But the nice idea about that 300 export switch is that you have, when executed in a more efficient manner, you have redcoats ready in the 3rd age to defend your most critical points in the game when you might get pushed by... Because here, what happens if we had 15 enemy musks and 10 husks turn up? We were toast.
Right.
Because we were... It's example when we were playing with a new Civ, but we were all at sea. We didn't have pop space, we didn't have this and that, but those musks appearing timed with your batch being trained from the blockhouse. So what I'm just saying is, yes, the village will be down, and this wouldn't be a consideration, but then you'd have that the instant boost of units fighting together to then defend. The other one is you could age up with the Skirm Wanderer to the 3rd age, but you just don't have this residual income that the tower provides. Your eco is so much worse, but you have then Skirms on the age up. So with a similar kind of build order, you have 8 Skirm pop in with 6 Royal Veteran Redcoats, and then you can train from your blockhouse, but you already have a solid composition. And instead of going maybe 10 Skirm card one, you can go, I'm going to go straight into 5 Meteor Hammers or Intervention for another 9 Musk. Because I've already got some Skirm, I've already got some Musk.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So just really quick, everybody, it's you want to go trade post first, and then get your village down, keep training vills, T export, and you get your consulate rickshaw. You can go Russia or France. This time we went Russia, gives you a little bit more defense. Then 700 coin follows that into diplomatic intrigue, but that could be dependent on a few things depending on what's going on. And then from there, you want to you're going to be aiming for age up, and then you're going to be aging up with Summer Palace. And as Harrison said, keep it within TC range because the wonders are super important. So you want to make sure it's defensive alongside the blockhouse, and then that will be producing whatever army you need. And then once you are in H2, that's 700 coin, and then the diplomatic intrigue, like we said, and then that gets you into Porcelain Tower, which then you can use wood, but then as you said that then you can switch it to different needs, but you don't ever really want it on the mix. And so you have to play with that. And then once you're in age 3, world's your oyster, basically. You want to make sure that your Brit consulate, you're producing redcoats with your export, and then you can go arquebusiers if you have, like you saw me, that I had a lot of leftover food. Beiyang army is an option, and then of course you want the Manchu cav archers, and then you go from there. And then you're just producing a lot, and then you're producing the death ball from there. During age up, keep producing vills, and you can eventually start claiming map control. Forward once you have your villages set up here, forward village to they can garrison in here, herd your middle herd, and then you're good to go. So yeah, that's basically your standard Chinese FF. Harrison, thank you so much. That was quite the experience. That was a lot, but it was really good, and obviously you have a lot of knowledge, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing it with us.
Yeah, you kept asking more and more in-depth questions. Like we're going away from just the basic ideas to why are we doing this instead of this? And
yeah, I try to anticipate because there's going to be a lot of people in the comments that are like, oh, but what about I'm like, all right, let's try to anticipate a little bit. But I hope this was a really good general deep dive for you guys.
Oh my god, we've been going for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's actually middle of the that's actually middle of the pack for these videos, by the way. The longest one was over 2 hours, so yeah, quite a bit. But Harrison, thank you so much, and thank you guys for listening to this one. I really hope that you enjoyed the Civilization Spotlight on China, and I will see you in the next one.